Hey, good morning from the office. I'm your host, BKP. We are North Georgia's only live online morning show. Welcome. Thursday morning, January 4th. It is cold. Some of you are reporting 3 degrees, 6 degrees. We have looked all over social media at the snow. I'm seeing the palm trees in Savannah covered with snow. The East Coast is getting blasted with a winter mix with warm air coming off like a hurricane mixed with snow. We are freezing. I hope your pipes are not froze up. I hope your pipes are clear and nobody's froze up. I'm telling you. I hope you left a little water dripping in the pipes. I asked you that yesterday. Please, please. I know it's tough out there. The Arctic blast. In a little bit, we're going to see where Sam is today. She picked one heck of a week to take off and go cross country and find out. Maybe that is, Lonnie, what her real... she's on special assignment, finding out what it's really like to be cold out there, going through Nebraska and Wyoming and Nebraska and Iowa. I think that's what it is, Lonnie. She's going to come back and give us a really cold report. But
you assume she's coming back?
Huh?
You assume she's coming back?
Yeah, I understand. I assume she's coming back. But, oh, wait a minute. Do you know something I don't know? I mean, what? Am I going to be the last? Oh, my gosh. Don't do that to me, Lonnie. Don't do that. Anyhow, that being said, Sam took off last week, and she's on a trip. We're happy for her. Our producer, general manager, and Lonnie is sitting in, so we're glad to have Lonnie. Lonnie's done an outstanding job this week. Also today in the state of Georgia, Speaker David Ralston will hold a pre-legislative session press conference. I will be there at that press conference, find out what will be the most important pieces of legislation that we may see come up on the floor in this session. We're also going to have an interview today. We're going to interview State Representative Jeff Jones. Georgia House Representative Jeff Jones is from District 167 down there in Savannah. He's a Republican. And we're going to talk about two bills, HB 484, which in Georgia, illegals get a driver's license issued to them. He wants a driver's safety card issued. He doesn't want a regular driver's license. He's going to explain that in our interview later today. So we're going to be talking to him. And we're going to ask him also what he feels the political posturing will be under the Gold Dome. You have Mike Williams as a state representative. You have Josh McCoon, a state senator. You have Lieutenant Governor Casey Cagle. You got a lot of people down there in this session that's running for state offices. So it'll be a lot of political posturing. We'll see if we can get something out of him on that and what that looks like. So Doug Jones, and then there was 51. First of all, let's tell people how you can contact the show. The show is 706-889-9700. 886-9700, and that is for anytime you hear news, see news, you get in touch with us, 706-889-9700, 24/7. That's our tip line. Also, you can email us, chief@fetchernews.com. Also, follow us on Twitter, @FetcherNews, @FYNTV. So that's how you get in touch with us. Also, please go to our YouTube channel, FYNTV, Fetch Your News, our YouTube channel, and that is where you can also subscribe, and anytime we're live or we upload a video, you can get it there. So then there was 51. Republicans now have 51. So yesterday, Doug Jones, get that video ready. Let's start with that this morning, get it out of the way. Yesterday, Doug Jones and Tina Smith were sworn into the U.S. Senate. And let's play the swearing in just a minute of the two new Democrat senators. And then we're going to talk about Democrat senators and maybe another split in the Republican Party. Tell me it's not true. Let's play that video, Lonnie.
The chair lays before the Senate the certificate of election to fill the unexpired term for the state of Alabama and certificate of appointment to fill the unexpired term for the state of Minnesota. The certificates, the chair is advised, are in the form suggested by the Senate or contain all the essential requirements of the form suggested by the Senate. If there be no objection, the reading of the certificates will be waived and they will be printed in full in the record. If the senator-elect and senator-designate to be sworn in will now present themselves at the desk, the chair will administer the oaths of office. Please raise your right hands and repeat and prepare to respond. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter? So help you God?
I do.
Congratulations, Senator.
Okay, Doug Jones. Doug Jones is now the senator from Alabama, and as you noticed, Joe Biden, former vice president. You know, the only thing Joe Biden said, he didn't see anybody to grope. I know, you don't like that, but Joe Biden, I mean, there had to be somebody in Doug Jones' family in the picture today that we can find, Joe softly massaging a 12-year-old's, shoulders. I'm sorry, I know you don't like that. But it reminded me of that. Joe Biden goes down standing beside Tina Smith, the new senator from Minnesota, taking Al Franken's place because, Al's back to writing for SNL. Like the old days. But that is the new Senator Doug Jones from Alabama and Tina Smith from Minnesota, sworn into the U.S. Senate. And now there's 51. Republicans have 51. We understand we have a picture of Roy Moore hightailing it out of town in Alabama. We found Roy Moore, and there he is. He's on his horse Trigger. And as soon as that swearing in went down, Roy said, "Trigger, we're out of here." And, you could hear the Trigger go, "I can't do a horse. I just can't do it. Okay, I would try if I could, right?" So Trigger's headed out of town. Roy Moore, he gives up. It's over. So speaking of Roy Moore, speaking of Trigger, speaking of all of that, then we get even further into the Republican Party. And if you know where we're exactly at, I'm going to defer to you this morning. Because the gushing Joe and Minka and the gushing left and CNN and, oh my God, they tried to tell us the disarray in what was going on in the White House there. The media feels vindicated today. They told you Trump did not like Steve Bannon. They told you Bannon was a problem. They told you Bannon was the dark side. And he got fired. And now this validates the media somewhat, right? I don't think so, but really? I mean, how long will the media put out that they tried to tell us what was going on in the White House? So yesterday, we started talking about this book that's coming out, and Bannon said that, according to his comment, Don Jr., the media would crack him like an egg. Crack him open like an egg, the national media. So Donald Trump responded. Let's start with the president's response to this. And do you have that? We pulled you could read the response, and we're going to read some of it in just a minute. But at the same time, we pulled what I felt was the clearest statement that President Trump. So listen to the statement President Trump made about Steve Bannon. And you're going to tell me this just came about, that they just knew the book would come out next week, and they just found out what Bannon said, and Donald Trump released this statement. So let's play the statement from the President of the United States concerning Steve Bannon.
We're getting reaction from President Trump responding to Steve Bannon's comments about a meeting that took place between Trump campaign officials and a Russian attorney. This is coming from a paper statement issued to the pool here. Steve Bannon, from the president. Steve Bannon has nothing to do with me or my presidency. When he was fired, he not only lost his job, he lost his mind. Steve was a staffer who worked for me after I had already won the nomination by defeating 17 candidates, often described as the most talented field ever assembled in the Republican Party. Now that he is on his own, Steve is learning that winning isn't as easy as I make it look. Steve had very little to do with our historic victory, which was delivered by the forgotten men and women of this country. Yet Steve had everything to do with the loss of a Senate seat in Alabama, held for more than 30 years by Republicans. Steve doesn't represent my base. He's only in it for himself. Steve pretends to be at war with the media, which he calls the opposition party, yet he spent his time at the White House leaking false information to the media to make himself seem far more important than he was. It is the only thing he does well. Steve was rarely in a one-on-one meeting with me and only pretends to have had influence to fool a few people with no access and no clue, whom he had helped write phony books. We have many great Republican members of Congress and candidates who are very supportive of the Make America Great Again agenda. Like me, they love the United States and are helping to finally take our country back and build it up, rather than simply seeking to burn it all down. Again, this is reaction from President Trump to Steve Bannon's comments.
So Steve Bannon called Trump Jr. Russians meeting treasonous, supposedly. There's a book coming out. Okay, there's a book coming out. Former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon reportedly called the 2016 meeting between Donald Trump Jr. and a group of Russians treasonous. According to the new book seen by The Guardian, Bannon said the meeting that occurred during the 2016 presidential race was treasonous and unpatriotic. They're going to crack Don Jr. like an egg on national TV, Bannon reportedly told author Michael Wolff, referring to the investigation into Russian interference into the 2016 presidential election. After news of the meeting surfaced last year, Bannon reportedly said the three senior guys in the campaign thought it was a good idea to meet with foreign government inside Trump Tower in the conference room on the 25th floor with no lawyers. They didn't have any lawyers. Even if you thought that this was not treasonous, Bannon went on to say, or unpatriotic, or bad SHIT, and I happen to think it's all of that, you should have called the FBI immediately, Bannon said, according to the book. The quotes are chronicled in the book Fire and Fury Inside the Trump White House, which is scheduled to be released next week. Now, let me say this. The book is scheduled to be released next week, all right? Be careful with this one, folks, okay? Because I'm going to defer to you. The book Fire and Fury is expected to be released next week. So when they write a book, they interview people well in advance, okay? Nobody interviews Steve Bannon on Monday and they write the book on Tuesday. It doesn't happen, okay? So we know that these quotes that are in this book, supposedly in this book next week coming out, are quotes that Bannon made several months ago, had to have made several months ago, weeks ago, maybe even longer. And so that being said, it's like when Donna Brazil's book, it's like a book release. If you go back, I would like for you to go back and take a minute at every book release. Every time. It's like this country is sitting on book release day all the time. So next week this book comes out. Now, are there any royalties to anyone outside of the author? I don't know. But we don't hear too much about Donna Brazil on a daily basis. The book is out. She did the book. Years ago, you would do the book tour. You would do, Phil Donahue. Was that his name? Was that his name, Phil? Phil Donahue? You would do Phil Donahue's show. You would do the Oprah show. You would do the nightly shows. Those would be the book release deals. Maybe Fox and Friends in the morning. Good Morning America. But now a book release is major news, and it turns into news. I'm just saying. I want you to put two and two together on this. So Bannon said, according to this book, I think that even if you thought that this was not treasonous or unpatriotic or bad, you know what, and I think all of it, you should have called the FBI immediately. So the president, which you just heard the president's statement, put their pictures up, Lonnie. It's almost like you have to, it's almost like you have to sing this. You have to sing like a lounge singer. When you see Bannon and Trump president releases a statement, it's almost like it's like a lounge singer. You have to say, yes, it's over. Call it a day. Sorry that it had to end this way. You lost your mind, Steve Bannon. You're no Andrew Breitbart. F you, John Podesta. You have to do it like a lounge act, right? What did he say? When he was fired, he not only lost his job, he lost his damn mind. Oh, that was a bad one. I'm going to try that again. He lost his mind. Now that he's on his own, Steve is learning that winning isn't as easy as I make it look. Oh my gosh, really? Everything to do with the loss in Alabama, leaking false info to the media, all right, and helping write phony books. What exactly happened? I defer to you. Now, obviously the press, okay, and Lonnie, let me go ahead and get that ready, okay? Obviously the press. Now, Mick Mulvaney, the budget director, and we have January 17th? Is it January 17th? We got another can we have to kick down the road. Nobody ever talks about cutting anything, cutting any waste, cutting back. There's no cutting whatsoever. They can't find a damn pair of scissors in the entire Congress anywhere. Anybody got scissors? No, we haven't cut things in years. We don't even talk of it. Don't even speak of it again, all right? Oh, Mick Mulvaney's down there to make a budget deal. You got Bannon and Trump have split. Now, we're going to come back to this because this one's not adding up. Okay, I like the 2 and 2 is 4 kind of stuff. This one's not going to 4 for me. I'm just telling you, it's not. Something's not adding up on this one. Too much. You can't tell me that. Did Bannon make Trump look that bad in Alabama? What's about to happen? Because Bannon pushed Roy Moore. And Bannon, and Donald Trump went to Pensacola. Let's just put everything out because I'm deferring to you. I can't wait for the All-Star panel Friday. So Bannon, probably pushed Trump to campaign for more. Trump goes down to Pensacola, Florida, actually does the closest thing you could do to campaign in Alabama for Roy Moore. Roy Moore lost, as you could see earlier today. Doug Jones, first time in 30 years that Alabama has got a sworn-in Democrat senator. What really happened here? What does it mean for 2018? I will tell you what. The champagne corks were popping everywhere because, one, with the Bannon comment that Trump Jr. is going to get cracked, Trump Jr. will get cracked like a egg on national media. Well, that's a little more for the Russian investigation, corruption, collusion. That whole what really happened to these two guys. What really took place? What are we being set up for? Because budget, she tries to talk about the budget, but the media, Trump is again throwing the red meat out there. Do you have that ready to go? Immediately, this is what the media does.
Cecilia.
Thank you, Sarah. The president says that when Steve Bannon was fired, he not only lost his job, he lost his mind. Does he feel betrayed by Steve Bannon? Does he regret hiring him?
I think the president's statement is extremely clear what his position on Mr. Bannon is. It was pretty lengthy and pretty detailed, and there's not really much to clarify or to add.
But is there regret there? I mean, he says a lot in this book, and they did have a long and close working relationship. So is there a sense of betrayal?
Once again, I think the president's statement fully addresses what his position and what his relationship with Mr. Bannon is. April?
Sarah, when was the last time the president talked to Steve Bannon? And this is a serious question. Is the president now blocking Steve Bannon from calling his cell phone?
I'm not aware that he was calling his cell phone, but I believe the last conversation took place at the first part of December.
Now, what does this do to the base? That these two powerhouses are fighting in the Republican Party. What does this do to the president's base?
I don't think it does anything to the president's base. The base and the people that supported this president supported the president and supported his agenda. Those things haven't changed. The president's still exactly who he was yesterday as he was 2 years ago when he started out on the campaign trail. His agenda hasn't changed, and he's continuing to fight for and push for that agenda. And I think the base is extremely excited and happy with the job that this president has done in his first year in office. Look at all he's accomplished. I think they're pretty happy with where he is. Peter?
Steve Bannon has a distinct following, the alt-right, and some people who may not necessarily be for the other, people who are xenophobic. What happens there?
I think that's a question you're going to ask Steve Bannon. The president's base is very solid. It hasn't changed because the president hasn't changed and his agenda hasn't changed. And we're continuing to accomplish a lot of the things that were on the president's agenda as we did last year, and we're going to do a lot more this year as we move into the beginning of 2018. Peter?
A couple questions. I'll try to make these simple. First, did the president's
You don't think I can handle the hard ones?
Did the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., commit treason?
I think that is a ridiculous accusation and one that I'm pretty sure we've addressed many times from here before. And if that's in reference to comments made by Mr. Bannon, I'd refer you back to the ones that he made previously on 60 Minutes, where he called the collusion with Russia about this president a total farce. So I think I would look back at that. If anybody's been inconsistent, it's been him. Certainly hasn't been the president or this administration.
So to follow up on that, did the president meet any of Donald Trump Jr.'s guests at that June 2016 Trump Tower meeting on that day?
As the president has stated many times, no, and he wasn't part or aware of that. John Decker?
If I can ask you, after the tweet about nuclear threats, the nuclear button tweet, should Americans be concerned about the president's mental fitness that he appears to be speaking so lightly?
Okay, folks, that is just a brief part of the press conference. Take my mic out of my ear, friend. Thank you. That was just a brief part of the press conference that goes on and on that they can't get Steve Bannon and Donald Trump off their mind. They wanted to know if the president had blocked Steve Bannon from the cell phone. The base What happens to the base, the alt-right following, the following of the alt-right? What happens? Did the president respond to Bannon's comments about Don Trump Jr. as treason? All I am telling you is it's what I'm deferring to you. Tell me what you think happened, okay? Tell me what you think happened and is going on now. And Donald Trump put out in what they're calling in a bizarre 265-word statement, Trump indicated Bannon, Tuesday, January 9th at 5 p.m. at City Hall of Blue Ridge City Hall, right? Yeah, 5 p.m., meet and greet the mayor and the new council members. That's at 5 o'clock from 5 to 6. All the council members will be there, a meet and greet. Following the 5 to 6 o'clock meet and greet of the mayor and the council members, the 6 o'clock hour will be the official meeting where they will be sworn in. And also the meeting starts at 6 o'clock, the first 2018 City Council meeting that's in Blue Ridge. Now, on Friday, don't forget, we're at Circuit World and Blue Ridge, Friday mornings, and we have our Ask the Doc segment with Dr. William Whaley. That's every Friday morning. We have our Ask the Doc. If you ever have a question for the doc, you send that to info, I-N-F-O, info at fetchernews.com, and just put in the subject line there, Ask the Doc, and we will get that to Dr. Whaley. Also, we're going to have our all-star panel. Will be Rick, Bruce, myself. I don't know if Jane will be back, but if you ever want to join the All-Star panel, you send me a message here at chief@fetchernews.com or text me or call me 706-889-9700. Tell me you'd like to be a part of the All-Star panel, and we'll get you on there. And then we're going to have an extended Team FYN Sports Weekend Review. It's going to be 30 minutes instead of the 10 to 12 that we normally have. That'll be the director of Team FYN Sports, Jason Banks. Lonnie will be getting into the conversation. Rick will be getting into the conversation. Friday, we've got a really big couch. So if you want to talk, yes, college football. If you want to talk about the Rose Bowl. If you want to talk about Alabama does not stand a chance. Next Monday night at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. If you want to talk about you don't think Georgia stands a chance. Whatever you want to talk about, we're going to do it. Let us know, 706-889-9700 or chief@fetchernews.com. Come down and be part of the college football national championship conversation. We want to get several people there for that extended version, and then we always wrap up Friday with our star of the show, our pet of the week. That's the pet of the week from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. That's at Circuit World in Blue Ridge. We're going to take a brief break. When we come back, we're going to take a look around, see where Sam is at, and then after that, we're going to play our. We're going to do today. I thought yesterday was such a great interview with Beth Bennett. I want you to stay with it. If you missed tax tips with Beth Bennett, I want you to H&R Block. I want you to stay with that because she answers some very big questions that are some confusion people may have over the new Tax Reform and Job Act. So we're going to play that as we close, and then we're going to interview Jeff Jones. He's the Georgia House of Representatives. Jeff Jones, Republican from District 167, because the session starts Monday. I'm your host, BKP. Take us to break, Lonnie. We'll be right back.
Had the time of my life. I never felt like this before. I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you someday
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Better days ahead. 'Tis the season of huge year-end discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Every 2017 and 2018 Chevy is discounted deep right now. Like $5,000 off Equinox LT from $26,750, or a whopping $10,000 off new Silverado Crew Cabs from $33,695. Unwrap huge holiday savings on every Chevy at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where we make the holidays bright.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Ace is your healthful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ella next to Walmart.
Kinty Artesian Silver and Gifts, the Peruvian shop, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Fine sterling silver, luxurious baby alpaca and exotic woods. A beautiful selection of exquisitely crafted gifts for all of your special occasions. Visit our website, artesiansilvergifts.com, or follow us on Twitter at Artesian Silver Gifts. Kinty Artesian Silver and Gifts, the Peruvian shop in downtown Blue Ridge.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Okay, folks, we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show. Yes, it is cold outside, right? What do you say? Like you say, burr, right? Burr, right? I don't know what you say, okay? But it's cold. Maybe that was Roy Moore's horse. Maybe I was doing Roy Moore's horse trigger. But yes, it's cold outside. And folks, I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We are North Georgia's only live online morning show. You can always contact us, 706-889-9700, chief@fetchernews.com. You can email us. You can follow us on Twitter at FetcherNews, at FYNTV. Now, Lonnie, how's this? How's this? Donald Trump reportedly plans to attend the Alabama-Georgia National Championship game. Check that out. That's the deal. President Donald Trump will reportedly be in attendance at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Monday for the College Football Playoff Championship game between Georgia and Alabama. Per Greg Bluestein of the AJC, Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are expected to be at the game and will be hosted by Nick Ayers, who is Vice President Mike Trump's chief of staff. There you go. President will be in the house. An SEC championship. You know, I'm wondering if Nick Saban, if they win, Lonnie, if Nick Saban will say, just give me the SEC championship trophy too. I'll just take that also. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking. I don't know. So Lonnie's setting in this week for Sam. Sam's on vacation, but Sam's on vacation, and she's been sending pictures every day. Sam is our producer here, and I know a lot of you that's watched the show for several years now, you remember Lonnie. Lonnie's in this week for Sam, doing a great job. Appreciate him. But Sam's on vacation. She got a chance to go out to Seattle and travel back cross country on a tour bus. She has sent us some pictures from Wyoming. She sent us some pictures from Wyoming, right? She sent us pictures from Iowa, Nebraska, a little bit of everywhere on the tour bus. I think she was headed to Detroit. So Lonnie, run some pictures, and you tell us this morning where Sam's at on her trip.
Today's a little fun. I got a couple things to show you. Let me bring them up for you real quick. This is Kalamazoo. This is one of the cool ones I like. You still see she's covered in white. She's not staying warm, not at all. Just staying warm on the bus, staying bundled up. One of my favorites. Like I said, staying bundled up. She's seeing the world, getting to see a lot of white America. A lot of the snow-covered Nebraska, Colorado, like we said. She's seeing all sorts of fun stuff out there. But she's not staying on the bus, and I'll prove that here in a second. Sam proved that she knows how to play in the snow, making snow angels. And this excuse me, today with this update that she told us she's up in Detroit, having a lot of fun, getting to see a lot of the cool things going on up there. Never missing a beat. And like I said, we'll see if she even comes back. She's seeing so much.
Okay, we're real happy for Sam. We're glad she's having a great time, and we can't wait for her to get back and report it herself because we think it's cold, and she's going to give us the real weather report for her week on the trip. Now, that being said, she'll be back next week. Look forward to that. Continue a safe trip and get home soon. Lonnie, you're doing a good job. I know every time you think I say she's on her way home, that there's an underlying meaning, okay? That being said, let me say something. I have not said, I'm your host, BKP. I've not said anything. You've not heard me say anything about this. This will be a first. And I'm really not going to go into detail, but I do think it's something I need somebody out there, okay? I'm deferring to you. I don't know everything. Damn it, I try. I'm deferring to you. I really am. I need somebody out there to work with me, help our viewers. Maybe you know it. Maybe you can get in touch with me. Cryptocurrency. Now, I've read several articles and I've studied. I just can't completely get my head around the cryptocurrency, but you better pay attention to it. Now, look this up for me. Is his name Peter Thiel? He's the founder of PayPal. See if that's who he is. Lottie, tell me if that's who I got the right guy. Peter Thiel, founder of PayPal, actually an original stockholder or founder also in Microsoft. Not Microsoft, Facebook.
And founded Palantir Technologies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Peter Thiel?
It's Thiel. I think it's pronounced Thiel, yeah.
Okay. And PayPal, he just bought another, or I don't know if it's the second time, he just bought in another, and he is a Silicon Valley guy, part founder of Facebook, PayPal. See, when he was with PayPal and he, the transfer of payments, that became very big. Being able to directly pay for things, but you still needed a bank account, all right? Now, I don't want to go too deep because I thoroughly don't understand, but this guy just sunk $20 million, just bought another $20 million of Bitcoin, okay? And he just sunk another $20 million in Bitcoin. I'm just telling you, you got to pay attention to cryptocurrency. I will tell you the feds are watching it. All the major brokerage houses are watching this. All of the major banks are watching this. They're watching this all the way around the world because without going too far, you set up your own bank. You don't need a bank anymore. You are your bank. I mean, you don't need it. If this happens the way I think it might happen, you don't need a bank. You just pay each other. So watch for the government to get involved. Watch the feds, what they do with it. And watch what happens at all the trading houses, this year. Cryptocurrency, better pay attention. Now, we know the President of the United States, Donald Trump. I got a couple things I want to go through that, maybe are not talked about every day. Donald Trump has called out the deep state. Okay? He called out the deep state and he said it's time, okay? It's time for the Department of Justice to do something about Umma Abedin, the deep state, Comey, and the others. All right? So Donald Trump has put Eric's picture up. Okay, you remember this guy? This is former Attorney General Eric Holder. All right? And Donald Trump has put, he's put Jeff Sessions on notice. It's time for something to be done. All right? It's time to do something now. But what does Eric Holder come out and do? Justice leaders should push back at Trump. Okay? Eric Holder says justice leaders should put back. Former Attorney General for Obama, Eric Holder says Justice Department leaders should push back against President Trump, who contends he has an absolute right to run the nation's law and order agency. Holder called Trump's statement dangerous and irresponsible, adding that it flies in the face of American history. It flies in the face of the why in which every American president, Republican or Democrat, has viewed the Justice Department. Holder told several reporters in a Senate hallway shortly after he watched Senator Doug Jones from Alabama get sworn in. It is dangerous and irresponsible. Now, they keep saying that this is dangerous, and what Trump is doing is going after his political opponents. And this is why Holder is helping out here, because it's the Justice Department he does not want you to see behind the veil. We need to dig into the deep state of the Justice Department, the FBI, and we need to go deep ourselves after all these people. Eric Holder doesn't want you to do that. He is saying push back. Push back. It's irresponsible. All you keep hearing is Donald Trump going after his political opponent, Hillary Clinton. And we don't do that in America. That's like that's like those communist countries. That's like those third world countries. Those are dictators, all right, that go after their political opponent. We're not just going after any political opponent. We are going after a world-class criminal. Quit calling Hillary Clinton a political opponent, all right? We are actually going after a world-class, all over the world, criminal. A criminal crime syndicate is what we're doing. So every day, be careful when you hear, well, Trump's rhetoric and Trump saying this. We don't go after our political opponents. Look, Hillary Clinton was not a political opponent. Bill Clinton and Hillary should have been jailed all the way back from Arkansas. All right? This woman should have been in jail while she was senator of New York. She should have been in jail while she was Secretary of State. She should have been the first lady ever put in prison. Not a political opponent. We don't do that in this country. No, let me tell you what we don't do in this country. We do not implement law and order in this country. That's what we don't do. It's not going after a political opponent. Eric Holder says he should push back, okay? Push back. The Justice Department. Talking about Steve Bannon earlier, and we will look further into that in just a minute, a little further. Steve Bannon, they're going to push. It's a field day for the left, but Manafort, put up Paul Manafort. Okay, Manafort's only job with the Trump campaign, only job was to get the delegates together. We have gone over that. To get the delegates together, that's it at the convention. Manafort has had success going to conventions, getting the delegates, going from room to room, counting the delegates, working the delegates, and making sure the delegates voted for the right candidate, which would be Donald Trump. That was his experience. That was the extent of what he was called on to do, and that's what he did. Paul Manafort sues Mueller and Justice Department. He sues them. This is coming out. President Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, has filed a lawsuit challenging the authority of special counsel Robert Mueller. In a court filing, lawyers for Manafort argued that the order establishing Mueller's investigation is overly broad and not permitted under Justice Department regulations. They said the special counsel's actions are arbitrarily capricious and not in accordance with the law, and have asked the district court to set aside all actions that Mueller has taken against Manafort. So Manafort has filed a lawsuit. Paul Manafort against Mueller. Where does this all go? I'm not for sure. I can't tell you. I want to see what the reaction is. Gateway Pundit, President Trump on Bannon when he was fired. He has not only lost his job, he lost his mind. The Paul Manafort is suing over dirty cop Robert Mueller, Department of Justice, and Rod Rosenstein. That's out there today. That's being talked about. So at Breitbart, how are they handling the news? Because, I like Steve Bannon, but he's not Andrew Breitbart, okay? He's not. Go ahead and take Paul down there. He's not Andrew Breitbart. Trump furious. Bannon not only lost his job, he lost his mind, okay? So Breitbart has it up there. We're going to find out what... I want to know from you, what does all of this mean with Bannon and Trump? What is really taking place? What's your thought there? I want to close this segment, all right? Before I close, I want to close this segment with Friday. Don't forget, Friday, there will be a... let's go ahead and put up the sheriff. I just want to run this by you one more time. Friday, the Superior Court will hear Jeff Johnson. He is the sheriff of Dawson County. He's the sheriff of Dawson County. They will hear the case that he has brought against the commission. The Dawson County Commission put them up, and then go back to Sheriff Johnson, the Dawson County Commission, over what he claims to be an inadequate budget to operate the Dawson County Sheriff's Office. So Sheriff Johnson Friday will be in court. The commission tried to make him a deal on the budget. I explained this yesterday. If you go to fetchyournews.com, Dawson County, click on Dawson County, click on news, and look up Bill Johnson. Anything Bill Johnson. He has written an extensive series on this and has everything clear about what's going on Friday, all right, in the courtroom. But the Sheriff Jeff Johnson, the commissioners offered him a budget. He said no, and his recourse, constitutional officers, their recourse is to sue the county and say, hey, you didn't give me the adequate money. So we're going to see what happens. That's going to be a very big one come Friday that you're going to want to keep up with, and we are here. Bill Johnson will be in the courtroom, and we'll keep up with that for you. Before I go to my next break, don't forget Friday. We have we're at Circuit World in Blue Ridge, okay? Circuit World in Blue Ridge, we're there Friday. We have our Ask the Doc segment with Dr. William Whaley. We have our All-Star panel, and then we're going to have an extended Team FYN Sports Weekend Review, an extended segment. If you would like to come be a part of that panel there, the sports panel, because we're going to be talking college football. So if you like college football, you know what you're talking about, you're an Alabama fan. Let's have an Alabama fan. If you have somebody that you want to talk about, if you do not think the 4 teams should have been there and your team should have been there, if you think that Clemson should not have been there and you want to argue another team should have been, whatever, we're going to have an extended. There's going to be Rick, myself, Jason, Lonnie, come and join us. We're going to have an extended Team FYN Sports Weekend Review, and then we will round out the show with our Star of the Week, the Pet of the Week from the Humane Society. Also, go to fetchyournews.com, and when we start in 2018, go to the top there, all the tabs of the county. We cover White County, Lumpkin County, Dawson County, Pickens County, Gilmer County, Fannin County, Union County, Towns County, Cherokee County, North Carolina, and Murray County, Georgia. Check out all of our counties. Click on them. Click on the news tabs. Check out Natalie's article about the mysterious boom in Fannin County. And yes, Friday, let's show them one more time before we leave for break and set up our next segment. Friday, there will be a meet and greet at 5, not Friday, why did I say Friday? Tuesday, I'm sorry, Lonnie. Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, the 9th, will be a meet and greet at Blue Ridge City Hall. That's at 5 o'clock. Meet the new council and mayor. They will be sworn, meet and greet from 5 to 6, and then at 6 o'clock, the members will be sworn in, and that'll be their first official meeting. That is Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And today, Speaker David Ralston always holds, our Georgia Speaker of the House, David Ralston, always holds a pre-legislative session press conference, which will be today in Atlanta. So I'm headed down there. I will be there, and you will be able to watch that press conference on FYN TV later today. We'll get that up for you. That'll be later today, but we'll find out what bills will reach the floor. We are going to extensively cover this session. There's going to be so much political posturing from from representatives running for, there's House representatives, state Senate representatives, lieutenant governor. They're running for lieutenant governors open. The governor of Georgia is open. The Secretary of State, open, you name it. So there's a lot of candidates out there in the field that are going to be doing a lot of political posturing. We're going to keep up with it. When we come back from break, we're going to have Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones is the Georgia House rep from District 167. He's a Republican. He is on the Insurance, Interstate Cooperation, Vice Chair of Motor Vehicles, Science and Technology, and we're going to be talking about a couple bills he has sponsored and what he thinks this session will bring starting Monday. And Tuesday, it's not Tuesday. Speaker Ralston has said that Tuesday they'll be closed for business. They're going to be celebrating the national championship. So I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show. When we come back from this break, Jeff Jones, Republican, District 167, and we're going to be talking Georgia politics for the next 20, 25 minutes. So right after these messages, Lonnie, take us a break.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in LOJ, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair, and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia, Ellijay, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
In 1981, Reed Nicholson began selling tires out of an old barn in Mineral Bluff. Little did he know that he had just laid the groundwork for the most trusted names in automotive services in the Blue Ridge area. In 1997, Nicholson Tire Center became what it is today, holding the same values of faith, family, and great customer service. 2 locations to serve you, and the Blue Ridge location is currently expanding to offer fast service and the largest U-Haul provider in Georgia. Nicholson Tire Center, Blue Ridge, and Mineral Bluff.
New Schottenkirk Ford in Jasper. Highway 515 South, Jasper. SchottenkirkFordJasper.com.
Hey, and we're back. I'm your host, BKP. Good morning from the office, North Georgia's only live online morning show. Monday, folks, Monday, that is when the session, the 2018 session starts under the Gold Dome. We've asked you every day to start looking at all the pre-files on the website and start looking at the bills that are alive and well that'll be taken up starting Monday. But committee meetings have started, and the posturing around the Gold Dome is taking place, and bills are they're starting to work on bills as we speak. So today we're joined Georgia House Representative Jeff Jones. He's a Republican from District 167. Representative Jones, are you with us there?
I am with you.
Representative Jones currently is on the following committees: the Insurance, Interstate Cooperation, Vice Chair of the Motor Vehicle, and Science and Technology. You're already going into committee meetings now before Monday takes place. You're already doing some pre-work, session work, are you not, Representative Jones?
Yeah, that is correct. We've met, for example, the Science and Technology Committee has met a couple of times studying how we can secure Georgia's voter system, for example.
Secure voter,
Yes.
Georgia voter system. So you guys have already met on that. Since you brought that up, and we are in the election cycle this year. We're going to have a big election in Georgia this year. We have a governor, a secretary of state, several positions, lieutenant governor. What are some of the things you're talking about in that committee about safeguarding the elections in Georgia?
The current system manufactured by Diebold is ancient by today's technological standards. We've interviewed 3 vendors thus far, and we're going to continue to study, look at their presentations and look. But we're looking for a way where there is a voter verifiable written record that we can audit to be sure that the vote cast by a voter is indeed the vote that gets reported and counted in the election. That's kind of a simple objective, is to be sure we have a secure system, first of all, that can't be hacked. But secondly, that we have a system that we can verify the votes. So we don't have that in today's world.
So what I'm hearing is we're looking for today's technology to cast our vote, but to have some backup paper trail to go with it to verify it.
That is correct.
And currently the Diebold system, that's pretty outdated technology. But if there was a recount, the only thing you could do is just
basically dump the vote out of the machine. There's no audit trail.
There's no audit trail, so you'd only be bringing up the same vote that it brought up the first time.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, what's the chances? I want to get. I mean, you brought that up, and I appreciate you doing it. What's the chances of this session something happening on that front and making changes in Georgia, the safety of the Georgia voting system?
I think the chances are pretty good. Again, as you know, no doubt, this is going to be kind of an odd session with so many House and Senate members running for higher office. It's going to be kind of strange, and nobody's going to want to make anybody look good. People are going to want to make the opponents look bad. So it's really a bit difficult to project what's going to come out. I will say, though, on this particular issue, we're not going to rush a decision and implement something that's not going to work. We want to study it thoroughly, be sure that we are spending the taxpayers' money wisely, and that we indeed end up with a secure system. So doubtful that we'll have something passed, hardware, software, whatever, purchased and implemented in time for the primary in May and the general in November. Doubtful that we'll have it in place for these upcoming 2018 elections.
Okay, well, my words, but with several, we'll move on to some bills that we want to discuss, but with several members of the House, Senate, Lieutenant Governor maybe, running for statewide offices, are you saying there might be some political posturing in this session?
I can't see you. Is your tongue in your cheek?
Okay.
I think more so than usual, yes, there will be.
More than ever, yes, right? So
yeah, more than ever, and there's always political posturing. I mean, it's the way the process works. You introduce legislation, or you work on legislation. You try to build support for your legislation, try to build a coalition of people who agree with your view, and that your bill is the most important bill and it needs to get through despite everything else that might be out there. So this is going to have an interesting dynamic to it.
Well, Representative Jones, I think we're going to see several bills that have statewide effect, not just regional, statewide effect, that whether they go through or not, there'll still be something that the candidate can campaign on statewide that they were trying to achieve, right? We'll leave it there.
I agree.
I agree. Okay, let's go with, this is folks, if you're looking on the pre-files, it's going to show up HB 12, and it's been changed to HB 66 is the current bill number, HB 66. It will still show up HB 12, but the current version of this bill is not out yet, but it's called the Banking and Finance. It's not loaded on the system, right, sir? You just told me that.
Oh, it is. It is. As we were discussing before we got on air, because the bill has not had a committee hearing, changes and amendments, if you will, that I've made to the bill as I've worked through with, let's say, the Commissioner of Banking, the Department of Revenue, all the card processor people out there, those changes, although reflected in my drafts and what I've changed, have not been updated to the House system. So as you do an inquiry on HB 66, it does not reflect all the negotiations and changes that have taken place during 2017.
All right, well, let's tell people what the bill is. The title is Banking and Finance, Money Transmission Transactions by Financial Institution Provide Certain Fees. What is this bill that you've sponsored here?
In very simple terms, the legislation proposes to collect a fully refundable fee for cash wire transfers that originate in Georgia and terminate anywhere else. Now, and I'm specifically going after Georgia's massive underground economy. And by that, I'm talking about drug dealers, gamblers, people who are paid in cash, and people involved in the sex trade industry. Those are people who typically are trying to hide their cash. They try to move it around and launder it so that it never surfaces to the light of day and never gets reported as income. So this bill proposes to charge a fee for those transfers. And as I say, it's fully refundable. So any Georgia taxpayer, and this would include illegals who can file for an individual tax ID number, ITIN. Every person who is subject to this fee is entitled to file through the Department of Revenue, Georgia Department of Revenue, to have that fee fully refunded to them in the form of a tax credit. So it's those people who don't want their income reported, who do not want the cash that they'll deal with to see the light of day. Those are the folks who are ultimately going to be those whose fees are retained by the treasurer in the state of Georgia. And it's estimated that this bill will generate conservatively $50 million, but more realistically, $100 million of revenue to the state of Georgia. And this is net after fees and refunds. This is modeled after legislation that Oklahoma has had in place for quite a number of years. We've got about 4 times the number of illegal aliens that reside in Oklahoma. So based upon the collection rates in Oklahoma, that's kind of where, that plus the fact that our fiscal office has done an official fiscal note to estimate the revenue. We're usually talking $50 to $100 million in revenue to the state, not affecting and not coming out of the taxpayers' pockets in the state of Georgia.
All right, well, let me ask you a question, and if I'm off the track here, put me back on it. But it says money transmission transactions by financial institutions. Are we talking about the person that shows up at Western Union Friday at 6 o'clock and wires to a South American country $800?
Yes.
Same?
Yes, there's like somebody who goes to Walmart and sends money. Western Union transfers. Any of those money transfer agencies or businesses that will accept cash and wire it somewhere out of the state of Georgia. Yes.
So what the state's doing is saying, you know, we're going to collect a fee if you're out there in our state and you're, I don't want to say working illegally, because not every transaction's illegal, and this bill is not written for the person that's handling a legal transaction, right? That's refundable.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. In fact, bank-to-bank transfers relating to real estate transactions by our military who may reside in one state but are stationed in another and who transfer money home. That money is not going to be captured in this fee process. So again, it really focuses, by its very nature and design and the way we've worked it out, it really does concentrate on those people who are trying to hide their cash.
If they're trying to hide the cash, let me ask you, what will be the what will be the fee? I mean, how will the fee be calculated on a wire transfer, a cash wire transfer?
We're looking at 2% of the fee with a minimum of a $10 fee.
Minimum
That's simple.
Is $10.
Yeah, and to make it, and because we're going to be asking the money transfer folks to do some work, because they're going to have a little bit of additional record keeping that's involved when they're processing their transaction. We're going to pay those folks a bit of a fee, for the hassle, for the administrative effort that they undertake to collect the fee. The fee we're going to pay those folks is similar to what a retail store is paid in vendor compensation by the Department of Revenue. If you collect sales tax from a part of the state of Georgia, the vendor compensation portion says that you can keep 3% of that fee as the business for the trouble that you've gone to collect, report, and pass that money on to the state. Similar thing in HB 66.
Well, let me ask you. And what other states? Now, you had mentioned what other states have this in place or a similar bill of this status? What other states have that?
The only state currently doing this is the state of Oklahoma. And they've been doing it, as I said, 4, 5, 6 years. They've been doing it quite successfully. And in fact, there are those who were encouraging the federal government to consider adding this little proviso to the tax bill that we just got through. Estimated that the United States could have collected over $2 billion for these same types of transactions. So Oklahoma's the only state currently doing it.
Okay, well, let's move to another bill, and folks, let me just remind you out there that bills in the State House are alive for 2 years. Okay, so if you go to the pre-files, those are new bills, or if you see one that says 2016, that means it's over 2 years, and you have to refile a bill. So bills are alive for 2 years under the
biennial system. That's
right.
Correct.
They're alive for 2 years before the need for refile. So not the only bills that you see on pre-file are not the only ones that are up for possible votes this year. And we go into a bill that was filed last year. You filed this bill last year, and it's HB 484, and it's driver's license clarify persons who may obtain certain license, permits, or cards and provisions. Explain this bill 484 for me.
You bet. Currently, the Department of Driver Services, DDS, has issued over 50,000 Georgia driver's licenses to people who are residing in our state who are illegal. Now, these people have a legal deferred status, and they are under perhaps a deportation order that has not yet been fulfilled. So those people, by virtue of the Real ID Act, which is a federal act that came up after the horrors of 9/11, began to start helping states and the federal government be more consistent and making sure that when we issue an official government ID to an individual, that it meets certain standards. So HB 484 simply says to the Department of Driver Services, and by the way, the Real ID Act has many provisions, but it does not require a state, such as Georgia, to issue a quote-unquote driver's license to illegal aliens. That option is left up to the individual states. So in Georgia, we issue driver's licenses to illegals. So what 484 does is it says to DDS, don't issue driver's license to these folks. What we're proposing is that you issue what we're calling a driver courtesy card, still a driver safety card, rather. And what this card does, and it has a different orientation. The driver's license is horizontal, if you will, like the horizon. And the proposed driving safety card is vertical, or portrait, if you will. And currently DDS issues a similarly oriented driver's license to underage Georgians. who are in a learning permit process. So what we're saying is, let's go ahead and test these people, be sure that they can drive on our streets safely, and we will issue them a driving safety card. The key difference and the contrast between a driver's license and a driving safety card is the driver's license allows illegals to board an airplane, to sign up for social benefits, and in an extreme situation would allow an illegal to actually enter a nuclear power plant, for example. So it was not the intention of the Real ID Act, nor do I believe it's the intention of our DDS to give illegals more of an ID than they're entitled to. What we want to do is have an ID that's a valid, state-issued, but that strictly allows those folks to drive and drive safely in the state of Georgia.
Well, the Georgia driver's license now is accepted as identification, and it's accepted as identification. Like you said, it's accepted for voting. The list goes on. Identification, but when an officer, I'm going to say for an officer, if you pull over an adult in Georgia that's under 21, immediately by the definition of the way the driver's license is issued, that officer knows that this is an under 21 driver, correct?
Boom, amen. That's exactly right.
So the same thing is, we're not saying we're giving you a driver's license that you can take to the airlines. You could do that. We're giving you the opportunity to drive safely in the state.
Correct, and issue you a driving safety card.
And that's what it says here, is a driving safety card.
And that fully satisfies the federal ID, the Federal Real ID Act. Full compliance with the Federal Real ID Act.
Okay, now I'm going to step out on a limb here. To me, this is a no-brainer. So, what opposition do you think you meet on this, or what opposition have you met on this, or what do you hear the odds are of making this change to a driver's safety card?
Well, quite frankly, there are people in our state and really throughout this country who want to see illegals become legal, and in many cases to become a voter for a particular party. So the objection to issuing a driving safety card versus a driver's license is seen by many as a regressive step, stepping back from the further and full recognition of illegals as citizens of our country. So it's seen as a step back by those who want to legalize all those people who are here illegally. Amnesty, if you will.
So
that's the real rub.
Do you think this gets on the floor for you in this session? Do you think this goes anywhere? I mean, I hate to put it that way, but because I'm thinking to myself, this should be something that like I said, shouldn't have a second thought. But what do you think? What do you think the odds are of getting this through the House this year? I think the odds are pretty good. Let me back up. This bill actually came out of the Senate at the end of 2016. Almost the same bill. So I picked it up in the House at the end of 2016, and there was just not enough time to do anything with it, to attach it to anything else. But here's the dilemma I think we face, is that many Georgia legislators don't understand the subtle difference between a driver's license being issued to an illegal versus the proposed driving safety card. And I think so. Part of what I've got to do, two things, is I've got to educate my fellow legislators as to what's currently going on and what we're proposing. And then secondly, and key to this, is to educate the public out there so that the public understands what we're after, and so that we will get a public outcry, if you will, and contacts being made by citizens who vote to their legislators to say, hey, I need you to vote on HB 484. It makes sense for the state of Georgia. Well,
so those are the
I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir, but I think a lot of people would be caught off guard to find out that actually Georgia issues a driver's license to begin with to an illegal.
Yes, they are.
But we do. So what you're simply doing here is trying to have an easy way to identify who's on the license, and I'm going to call it a license. So you have your citizens, your legal citizens of Georgia that have a driver's license, and that's you and I. And then you have the under 21, the young adults that immediately are identified as under 21 as the way their license is printed. And then the other people, we'll just put it like that, we're willing to issue them a driver's safety card, but it's not a driver's license that gives you the ability to get on the airplane. It doesn't say Georgia's saying you can get on the airplane, you could vote, you could do all these things that's necessary for a driver's license. How far off am I on that?
No, you're pretty accurate. Let me add to one other thing about who also gets a driver's license. You know, we have executives that come in from Kia and Mercedes-Benz and come over to the U.S. and work, and they're legally here as legal people. We issue those folks a driver's license. Now, it's classified a limited term because it's kind of a different classification. But for all intents and purposes, it looks like and acts like a regular Georgia driver's license. So you summarized it quite clearly. Thank you.
Well, yes, and we. Okay, there's two more things before we leave, and I appreciate your time. Is there anything about next week's session or this session coming up other than some political posturing or another bill you'd like for us to keep our eye on that we don't have time to talk about, but a bill that you would say, hey, keep your eye on this one and see how it moves through the House?
Actually, I've got a couple of companion bills that are dealing with how Georgia handles coal ash. Coal ash being the product that comes out of a coal-fired power plant. We've got two issues. The federal government has said we've got to close our coal-fired power plants, we've got to close our ash ponds and drain those. So one bill is going to just require public notice so the people know that when those coal ash ponds are being drained into state waters, rivers, lakes, and streams, so they can decide if they want to fish, swim, or recreate in those areas. The second bill is a broader bill that establishes in law standards that a solid waste storage facility, either municipal or private, the standards that they must meet as they store coal ash in their various waste facilities. There are no current legislative standards in place, and so we're trying to establish some minimum standards that our DNR EPD division can actually then enforce. So watch those two bills. It's a big deal because Georgia is becoming known as the dumping ground for coal ash from surrounding states. And we don't want to be the dumping ground for other people's coal ash. But if coal ash gets brought here, we want to be sure that it's stored safely and does not contaminate our pristine Florida aquifer or any of our lakes and streams, rivers, etc. Well, watch those two bills.
Okay, well, we'll close with this. Rumor is that the Speaker Rawson has made the comment that next Tuesday he won't be there because he'll be celebrating the Georgia National Championship.
That's not rumor, that's fact.
I know it's fact.
So we'll be in session on Monday. In fact, we'll be at a summer meeting, fall meeting, whatever, at the caucus. And he announced that if Georgia's in the playoffs, which we obviously are, that we will be out of session on the 9th. So we're in on the 8th. Recess on the 9th and back in on the 10th. And I think we've got the State of the State address that's scheduled for Thursday, January 11th. So, yeah, that's what's coming in this first week.
So Tuesday's a day off, and hopefully we're celebrating the national championship.
We will be.
There you go.
We will be. We've got Alabama's number this year. We're gonna whip up on Alabama.
Okay. Well, look, Representative Jones, I appreciate it. We're going to end it there, and we'll communicate all through the session at any time we can and have you back on.
And go Dogs.
Go Dogs. Okay, thank you very much. You have a nice day, sir. That is State Representative Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones is from District 167. I think it's down around Savannah, if I look that up. And we have talked about a couple bills that he has in place. And HB 484 and HB 66 are two he wants you to follow closely. We're going to, like I told you now, we're going to follow this session. We're going to follow this session, the 2018 Georgia legislative session. We're going to try to get 4 or 5 legislators a week on the show, just like this one here. We're going to get started. I'm going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to be in Atlanta today, actually, to be at a press conference. Speaker Ralston will be holding a pre-legislative press conference that I'll be attending today, and I'm going to work out some other senators and legislators to be on the show as bills progress. Just a quick note before we go to commercial. Like I said there earlier, bills are alive for 2 years. They're biannual bills in the state of Georgia. So if they filed a bill in 2016 and you're looking at the pre-files and it did not see the light of day and did not get anywhere, they have to refile that bill under the pre-file. So when you look in there, pre-filed legislation on the website, you will see a lot of bills that say 2016. You're thinking, wow, they've been around. No, they have to refile them. Now, the pre-file bills are not the only ones. Go into 2017, and if they're still active, you can look at the status they got last year and where they're at in committee, and they're still alive from last year and this year. So as the Representative Jeff Jones said, this will be an interesting session from the political posturing. I'm your host, BKP. We're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back right after these messages. Lonnie, take us to break.
I swear it's the truth, and I owe it all to you. I'll tell you something. This could be love, because I've had the time of my
The Tupelo Tea mission is to provide over 80 premium tea blends for tea lovers who are looking for ways to explore new flavors and blends. Come visit Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Be sure to sample our various varieties of honey and tea. Visit us on the web at tupelotea.com or call us at 706-946-TEAS. That's TEAS. Tupelo Tea, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge.
Better days ahead.
'Tis the season of huge year-end discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Every 2017 and 2018 Chevy is discounted deep right now. Like $5,000 off Equinox LT from $26,750, or a whopping $10,000 off new Silverado Crew Cabs from $33,695. Unwrap huge holiday savings on every Chevy at Days Chevrolet in Jasper, where we make the holidays bright.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
Hi, I'm Rhonda to the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in LJ next to Walmart.
Kenty Artesian Silver and Gifts, the Peruvian shop, located in beautiful downtown Blue Ridge at Sycamore Crossing. Fine sterling silver, luxurious baby alpaca and exotic woods. A beautiful selection of exquisitely crafted gifts for all of your special occasions. Visit our website, artesiansilvergifts.com, or follow us on Twitter at Artesian Silver Gifts. Kenty Artesian Silver and Gifts, the Peruvian shop in downtown Blue Ridge.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Hey, we're back, and I'm your host, BKP, and it's that time of year. It's tax season, and you may remember Beth Bennett from last year, Tax Tips with Beth Bennett. We're glad to have her back this year. How are you, Beth?
I'm great, Brian. Thank you for having me today.
Things changed around a little bit here since the last time.
They did. I like it.
You like it?
I like the setup. Oh, comfy.
Well, how about this? That was a great segue. Things changed since the last time you were here with Tax Tips. So we now, since last time we sat down, we have, first time in over 30 years, we have a new Tax Reform Job Act that the President of the United States signed last week.
Biggest one in over 30 years, so it's pretty huge.
And so, I was thinking about you a lot last year as they were negotiating this, and we're with Beth Bennett, Tax Tips with Beth Bennett this morning. And I was thinking about you a lot last year as they closed and they were negotiating this, of how does someone in your business keep up with what they're doing? I was trying to read, and I would see articles, what the tax bill means for you, and then I would read another one that was almost totally different. How does somebody in your business keep up with what's going on?
Well, that's one of the greatest things about being a franchise of a major corporation, right? Because if you're just a small one-off owner, it's very hard for you because you're just reading what's published in the news and what the IRS puts out there in bits and pieces. Fortunately for us, as being part of a big corporation, we have a whole team that's all they work on, that are completely dedicated to that. And they're deciphering and breaking it down and sending it out to us in usable information.
Usable information. So H&R Block has taken a lot of time, because that is their business.
That's
what
our
they
business,
do, right?
Yes.
So H&R Block has taken a lot of time to get usable information to you, the franchisees, for your people that are coming in and want
to
their
help
taxes.
our clients to be able to get the best tax return possible.
What would you think the biggest change you see? And I know that is such a wide question, but what is one of the biggest changes you see, whether it's a benefit or a negative, but what's one of the biggest things you see as a change?
I think there's like 5 changes that are really pertinent to everybody this year.
Go through all 5.
So the big one, and you're hearing so much about it on the news, is they've practically doubled the standard deduction, right? So if you're not in the process of buying your home, which that's really the trigger for most people to be able to itemize their deductions, is if you own your home and you're taking off your mortgage interest. Because if you're just paying property taxes and charitable contributions, it's really hard to meet medical. You got to have like a catastrophic medical to be able to take that on the Schedule A. Unreimbursed job expenses, again, that's limited to a % of your income, so that one's really hard to get to. So really, you can take off your mortgage interest, your property taxes, and then your Georgia income taxes and your charitable. That's what most people put on a Schedule A. Probably 90% of people that itemize, that's what's on there. with doubling of the standard deduction, practically doubling of the standard deduction, it's going to make a lot of Schedule A's go away. A lot of people, it's not going to be valuable to them to itemize on their federal tax return. Okay? So that sounds great, right? We've doubled it. Hopefully you're making more money. However, here in Georgia, because we have Georgia's state tax, and a lot of states don't have taxes, so it doesn't affect them. But here in Georgia, this is huge, and I highly recommend everyone go see a professional and get a tax consultation this year. See how next year's going to affect you. Because if you itemized last year, or you itemized this year, and then next year, because all the changes are going forward, none are retroactive, none are going back to 17, and it's going to affect what you're going to do right now in the next couple of months. It's all going forward.
So whatever you did in 2017, that's what you're filing taxes on. That's the laws that will apply, and that's how you will pay your taxes.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So nothing's retroactive.
Nothing's retro. None of the changes that they've made is retro. Nothing goes backward. Everything started on January 1st and will affect your tax return next year. So on that doubling of the standard deduction and making your Schedule A and your itemized deductions go away, that can seriously impact your Georgia. It still may benefit you to itemize on your federal and lose a couple $100s on your federal and gain it back on your Georgia. Because the Georgia standard deduction is like, I think for a married filing joint couple is like $5,000. Theirs hasn't changed in like 20 years, right? They've never raised any of that to go with inflation, anything. So that could be a really, really huge impact on someone. You know, yes, they might make just a tad more on their federal, but they could lose a couple of thousand in Georgia.
Okay, let me go back just a minute because I'm so thankful you're here today. Schedule A. Let's go with the Schedule A deductions. So what I'm hearing you say is not only at this time of year people rush to do their taxes, and some of the thought is I want to rush to do my taxes because I'm waiting on my return, and this is the time of the year where I get a little bump. I get the check in the mail and I get a little bump. So there's a rush to do the taxes, but for the first time in 30 years, there's also needs to be a rush at the same time you're doing your taxes to say, how do I plan for 2018?
Correct.
That's as important as doing the taxes. So let me ask you at H&R Block, at your offices, are you guys prepared if somebody comes in and they have a Schedule A deduction to look at them and say, you do know next year, and then start taking them down the road of how to plan next year?
Absolutely.
So that's the good thing is if you have a client come in that does a Schedule A deduction, your people are trained to say, it's my place now to let you know that next year when you sit down with me, this area you're not going to apply for. I mean, you're not going to meet what you need.
Yes.
And then your client says, well, what do I do?
Yep. And that's not just this year. That's any year. That's every year. That's part of our job. We don't just put in the numbers. We're not just data entry. We're helping you financially plan for your tax situation each year. And so I'll give you several good examples. So just say you have a 16-year-old child. One of the things we help you plan for now this year you get the child tax credit, but next year your child turns 17, so that's $1,000 you're going to lose. You need to plan for that. Let's plan your W-4 to make sure that you have enough taxes withheld so you're not surprised at the end of the year. We have another great thing H&R Block does for us is they give us tons of calculators, so we can go in and we can plug in numbers and play with all the different scenarios. If you had a kid, if you buy a house, if college, all those things, we can plug in those numbers and see how it will affect you.
Well, I know every year you make recommendations to your clients, and that's the services you offer, not just file taxes. Right. I mean, you do that, but your job is to make recommendations so when they're filing their taxes, they get the most out of the tax laws. What would you call the biggest misunderstanding in this tax bill, or false truth that's out there that is spun around? What are some of the things that, if they come to your office with questions, you could clear up?
So, again, you keep hearing about three things, right? The three biggest things we keep hearing about in the news about the tax reform is this doubling of the standard deduction.
Right.
Doubling of the child tax credit.
Right.
So if you have a child under 17, it went from $1,000 to $2,000. That's huge. and it's refundable up to $1,400, so that's great. And then the tax bracket changes, right? That's the biggest three, right? Wouldn't you say that's
Right, I would agree.
the most you hear about? But one thing they haven't talked about, and you don't hear it anywhere, is that they're removing the personal exemption. So each person on your tax return, so if you're married, one for the husband, one for the wife, if you have kids, one for each kid, $4,050 that you used to get to reduce your taxable income. So if you made $10,000 and you got your personal exemption of $4,050, then you reduced your taxable income down. Then that's gone away, and no one's talked about that. So even though they're doubling the standard deduction, like I'm married with no children on my tax return, right? And I don't itemize. So I come out ahead in that scenario. If you take my daughter, for instance, who's married with 2 kids and does itemize, she loses money. She has more income taxable because they gave her $11,400 on her standard deduction, right? So now that's $11,400 less to be taxed, but they just took away $1,800 in personal exemptions, $4,050, $4,050, $4,050, $4,050.
You know, every Friday
And
at
they're not
8:15
talking about that.
Every Friday at 8:15, I do a segment called Ask the Doc with Dr. William Whaley, and I have to really pay attention. And now I'm doing another segment with a whole lot of numbers, and you're forcing me to have to. I'm like trying to really pay attention.
You're trying to visualize those numbers.
But that's what I'm saying is I'm so glad that I know you, that I don't have to do that every day. I can come and say, Beth, you know all this, and you guys are trained to do this, and you can help us. 2 things I want to cover before we leave, and that I have tried to read in the news. H&R Block, you have several offices here locally, but you don't just do personal income tax, you do corporate tax. You do all the above.
We do all tax returns.
How big was the corporate tax break? Are you hearing any of your clients discuss it? I mean, how big was that?
Most of our clients are not the big C corporations that are going to be in here and filing tax returns with us. Most of the clients that we do are small business. They have large incomes, right?
Yeah,
maybe lots of employees, but most of them are S corps, and that's pass through.
There you go.
That was another big one. That's
the one I wanted to get to, because the media. We'll just leave that another subject. But they would say pass-through, and nobody would stop and kindly explain that. Explain pass-through income. Can you do that for us?
You got a whiteboard?
Got a whiteboard? Next segment, I'll get one. Yeah.
So it's kind of easy to explain. So if you're a small business, if you're an LLC, and each one does a little bit different, and there's different forms for each kind of business you can be that has the pass-through income. You can be a partnership, an S corp, and a sole proprietor. And so that income just goes on your personal. You'll do the business return, but the business actually pays no taxes there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So I do my S corp, and that business isn't paying taxes for the business. Whatever net profit that is, that goes through on all the partners in that company. So if your corporation was 4 or 2 or whatever, then and however it gets divided up. So if you have an
LLC, you do the business return, LLC business return. What's down on the bottom, if there is, hopefully, it passes through to the members.
And goes on their personal return as additional income.
Right.
So see, that's where they were talking about that. So, and I think for a lot of those, and I don't know that because I haven't played with that, but I think for a lot of those, they're not going to see the reduction in taxes like they're saying. That's just my opinion, which is
the last thing I want to discuss, because last year the mandate, the affordable care mandate, the penalty kept going up. And last year, if I remember correctly, you said a lot of your clients just paid it, right?
Yep.
What do you think removing that? Are you hearing anything from your clients? I know it's the start of the year, and this is when your clients really start coming in. But are you hearing anything yet on that being removed, or what do you think that means to?
Well, I think that's going to help a lot of people, because people were being forced to purchase insurance that they couldn't afford, that wasn't beneficial to them. I mean, how helpful is an insurance policy that you pay several $100s a month for, and then you have a $5,000 deductible. Yeah, so you have no copay, so you have to meet $5,000. So I mean, it's only catastrophic. So a lot of people did choose to pay the penalties, and the penalty, the new mandate is that the penalty's gone for 18. So if last year in 2017, if you didn't have health insurance, you're still going to pay a penalty this year.
So if you show up this year and you say, "Well, the penalty's gone," no, you've got
That's next year.
That's next year,
Mhm.
and you either have to make a choice. You have to pay the penalty because everything in 2007 applies. Nothing retroactive. Anything we didn't cover today on the new tax bill?
Well, one of the things I want to talk about, and I can't believe you didn't bring it up, is the postcard.
No, I didn't bring that up. Go ahead.
And that's humorous, right?
Yes.
I know. But a lot of people keep asking me about that. That's
Do
what
they?
yeah. You really think we'll go to a postcard? You could go to a postcard if you're,
Okay, all right.
You get no credits and deductions, so it'd be your kids or.
That's why this is live and it's great. She got me, done, deal. But the Congress, members of Congress, were holding up the postcard.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Yeah.
those of you, and when they completed the tax reform bill, that you'd be able to file on this postcard. And even the president held it up in a conference room and held up the postcard. So what Beth Bennett is saying is I didn't bring up the postcard, but odds of you really just filing your tax on a postcard is not going to happen.
A kid, somebody who's got, just you could have a married couple, but you own no house, you've got no kids, you've got no kind of credits or deductions, and you worked at a job where you get a W-2. Or a flat rate. They'd have to change it to the flat rate. How would that work?
It played well on TV.
I know, right?
But people are asking about the
people
postcard?
ask me every day.
Do they about the postcard? That's great.
Do you really think we'll go to a postcard? No. I don't see how they
Well,
can make
let's
that.
put it like this. It took 30 years to get this tax reform. I don't know how long.
And they
before
didn't
the
make
next-
anything go away. There's nothing, so you wanted to reduce tax law, right?
Right.
Nothing went away. We just moved numbers.
That's it?
We doubled your standard deduction, but we took this away. You see what I'm saying? They just moved numbers back and forth.
I'm glad that's what you do. I mean, did you say they just moved numbers? Ooh, we're going to have to bring the whiteboard. What else do you have? Do you have anything else?
Don't forget this year that there's still, the IRS has made that an ongoing law, the PATH Act, where they won't release refunds until after February 15th if you claim the earned income tax credit and the additional child tax credit, because those were the high fraud credits. And so they're holding all those refunds till February 15th. They're matching up the information to make sure.
What is that one more time? If you have what?
The earned income tax credit.
Earned income tax.
And the additional child tax credit.
So those are the two largest areas of fraud.
Mm-hmm.
So they hold those up till February 15th.
Yes.
To review if there's any fraud.
Yep. So go ahead and do your return now, though. Don't delay starting your return. Go ahead, come in and get your return done just like you always would as soon as you get your paperwork. And then yours will be at the front of the gate when they start releasing them on February 15th.
Well, here's the information we want to know. If you can just give us where you guys located, what's your hours, what's your phone number. Yeah, we want everything.
Just that's pop quiz.
That's it.
So we have 3 locations in LJ. We've got Highlands Crossing down by Subway, 368 Craig Street, which is between Pools Barbecue and the drugstore on 515, and then we have River Street. We are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, 9 to 7. Each week grows a little more as the client flow grows. We just scale up and back as we need to.
Phone number?
Saturday, Sunday, 706-635-5538, 706-636-1099, 706-635-5563. What else? You want the blood type?
No. Beth Bennett, H&R Block Tax Tips. And let me just make a note here before we close. She has not said this, but I know she will eventually. If you call, if your schedule, they have hours. They have hours because they have people need to know when they're working and not working and when they're open and not open. But if you have a particular time that you cannot make it in their hours, call them. Okay, their staff will figure out how to meet with you, won't you?
Absolutely.
Their staff will figure out how to meet with you, when to meet with you. I'm not telling you they're open on Sunday. That's up to her.
We are Sundays. We have Sunday hours.
I know, but I'm just saying they will do things to help you make sure they fit your schedule, and they know what's going on. This is a family-owned business. They do an outstanding job. They have a well-trained staff, and here's something that's very important. H&R Block has done a great job of drilling everything down to usable information for their people. So if you go to other places, no disrespect, that are just single places that do taxes, and that's what they do, no disrespect, they may not have all the information that they have here at Beth Bennett H&R Block here in LJ. And look them up, Facebook, website. I mean, if you're on the internet, thank you very much. I appreciate it. You've answered a lot of questions for me today, and I have to tell you, the postcard, and they just moved the numbers around. I mean, we can talk all day, but that's really all they did, move numbers around. And don't ask for the postcard, because they don't have one. Right?
No postcard yet.
I'm your host, BKP. This is Tax Tips with Beth Bennett, H&R Block. We'll be back right after these messages.